Welcome to the Wisdom That Breathes channel. Across all our platforms, we try to share wisdom which is relevant and accessible to everyone. But on this particular platform, we go deeper into some of the ancient principles found within the scriptures. If you find some of the terminology difficult or inaccessible, then go over to our Keshava Swami YouTube channel where you'll be able to find other content which is perhaps more relatable. Thank you and enjoy the wisdom that breathes.
Shri Chaitanya Manodhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Svayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapanantitam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Sujivam Svadvaitam Savadutam Varijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanditamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabharu Jagate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namaste Apta Kanchana Gauri Radhe Vrindavaneshri Rishabhanu Sute Namaki Hari Priya Vancha Patarujashta Vipasudurdevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasudeva Gaur Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita Ki Chapter 8. So Hare Krishna everyone, thank you so much for coming this morning. It's wonderful to be in another embassy of the spiritual world. And Leicester, Prajumna Prabhu said I'm happy that Leicester is on my traveling schedule, but I count Leicester as a home. Firstly, Prajumna Prabhu is my guru, my teacher, my mentor, my inspiration. When I was very young, he was a young monk in Orange, and he was one of the first devotees that I met and who spent time trying to inspire me in Krishna consciousness. And he indeed inspired me so much. Thank you. Yeah. And Prajumna Prabhu inspired me so much that I thought maybe I should become one of the guys in Orange too. And by the time I made the decision to become a guy in orange, he became a guy in white. I was like, come on, man. What happened here? That wasn't part of the script, you know. Thank you so much. But grihe thako, vane thako, sadahari bole dakho. Actually, it doesn't matter so much. Orange, white, green, whatever you like, no problem. Because the devotees, wherever they are, they do wonderful things to tell people about Krishna. And it was all clearly a higher arrangement, because then Pradyumna Prabhu came here to Leicester. And Leicester actually became like my second home. I mainly came to Leicester because of Vamsi's cooking. He loved making koftas for us. Is Vamsi here?
Yeah.
He is, yeah, okay. So he loved making koftas for us, so it was worth coming to Leicester just for that. And I remember staying in Thorsby Street, and so many of you came there, and I was so inspired to see the devotion of the community. And in that way, Leicester became a very beautiful place of devotional service for me. I once asked His Holiness Jayadvaita Maharaj whether I should go to Leicester, and he said yes. Leicester needs more. It's very good with words, you know. So, yes, I'm so happy to be here, and it's so incredible to see what you're doing as a community. And one thing I wanted to share with you is that, you see, nowadays I'm traveling, so I come into a place and we come with fresh eyes. And sometimes you may be living in this community and you may come here every single day or every single week. And sometimes we take it for granted, like, yeah, shall I go? Maybe I'll just log on online, to all of you online. And we may just take it a little bit for granted, not that you're taking those online for granted, but sometimes we may just think, yeah, it's there, I'll go, maybe I won't. And sometimes we may not realize how special this is actually, this opportunity is. Narottam, he says, Tadira charana sevi, bhakta sanevas, janame hoy, ei abhilas. I only have one desire. Anything may happen in my life, whatever may come. But my only desire, my only abhilas is that somehow or other, bhakta sanevas, if I can always be with the devotees, because when we're with the devotees, everything becomes possible. So let us never take it for granted. We have this opportunity to associate with devotees, to associate with each other. So I'm so glad to come here to have the opportunity to associate with all of you. And it's really a special time of year. Now we are celebrating and remembering Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is very, very kind. Another reason why I used to come to Leicester more, and I should come more, is because in Leicester, Panchatattva were very much present. And I always remember Panchatattva at Thorsby Street because they were in this pose of just giving. The hands were very open. And I remember always being in front of Panchatattva saying, yes, please also give me. The Panchatattva are very, very kind. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Karuna Avatar. And he's giving, very, very kind. And so it's a beautiful opportunity for us to focus on Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And many who come from the Hindu background, even they may know so many things, but oftentimes they don't know about Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Once I was in front of the altar at Bhaktivedanta Mana, and a family came next to me, so one of the family members was explaining everything, so he turned to the other family members and he said, and here is Radha and Krishna. He said, and here is Sitaram, Lakshman, Hanuman. And then I was listening. And then they said, and here is Love and Kush. I said, really? So many people are not aware. No. Parama Karuna, Pahudui Jana, Nitai Gaura Chandra. They are very, very kind, they are very merciful, and they are not just avatars, Sabai Avatar, Sada Siromani. Kevala Ananda Kanda. Of all the avatars, Sabay avatar, they are the Sara Siromani. They are the jewel. They are the key. They are the gateway. Prabodhananda Saraswati says, you want to go to Vrindavan? No chance. But if you dive into the pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and if you navigate yourself to the depths of that ocean, then maybe, just maybe, when you come out of that ocean, you will emerge on the banks of Vrindavan. But you cannot get, there's no direct ticket to Vrindavan, not even Air India. There's no direct ticket to Vrindavan. The only tickets to go to Vrindavan go via Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the Sankirtan movement. Therefore, it's so important for us to connect with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So, when we want to learn about Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we could go to many, many books. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had 27 biographies written about him. Do you know anyone in the world who had 27 biographies written about them? Most people, they have to pay someone to write someone a biography about them. Mahaprabhu had 27 biographies written about him, and of those 27, it said that 7 are primary and still available to us in a very accurate format. And of those 7 biographies, it said that Chaitanya Charitamrita is the final word. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says, if you're in a flood and you have your library and you have to start giving up some books, then if you only have the Gita, the Bhagavatam and the CC, which one should you give up? And he says, let the Gita go. Gita. Well, what to do? You have to make a decision. And he says, if the water level goes a little bit higher and you have to give up another book, then which book should you give up? He said, then it's hard, but you'll have to let the Bhagavatam go. Let the Bhagavatam go. Whatever you do, never let the Chaitanya Charitamrita go. Chaitanya Charitamrita Nitya Karapan Jaha Hoite Premananda Bhakti Tattva Gyan. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says, brothers, sisters, every single day read Chaitanya Charitamrita. Why? Jaha Hoite, because by doing so, Premananda, you will experience the happiness of love. And at the same time, Bhakti Tattva Gyan, you will learn all the secrets of devotion. So one who's very wise, they look, what do the great devotees do in their spare time when nobody else is watching? What do they do in their secret time alone? That must be a very, very special activity. So if you look at Srila Prabhupada, what was he doing? He was the world Acharya, he was traveling, he was preaching, he was in the limelight, he was making waves in the world. But what did Srila Prabhupada do when he was behind a closed door by himself? Then Srila Prabhupada would sing Vaishnav bhajans with a harmonium just to himself, relishing the words of the Acharyas. When Srila Prabhupada was behind closed doors and the world wasn't looking, then Srila Prabhupada would write. He would write his own poems and he would write his own reflections. And what would Srila Prabhupada do when he was behind closed doors, away from the gaze of the world? Then he would read Chaitanya Charitamrita, just for fun. Because Jahoite Premananda Bhakti Tattva Gyan, it gives great happiness. So the Chaitanya Charitamrita is such an important book, such an important gift of Srila Prabhupada. And we are reading the Chaitanya Charitamrita to, sorry, it locked. You have to unlock the Chaitanya Charitamrita. You need a password, you know. You can't. You have to have some qualification, like Nrsimha Vallabha Prabhu, years of Sankirtan. He has the password. Thank you.
Nobody calls as well.
No worries. So today I was thinking where we could read from the Chaitanya Charitamrita. It's not possible to get this on screen, is it? It is, yeah? So I was thinking we could read from chapter number 8 of the Madhya Leela, and we could read from text number 39. So this is Madhya Leela of the Chaitanya Charitamrita, chapter number 8, verse number 39. This is a very, very special chapter of the Chaitanya Charitamrita, because in this book Mahaprabhu has many, many conversations. And Mahaprabhu in each of these conversations is teaching very, very wonderful things. But this is a very, very unique chapter of the Chaitanya Charitamrita, the only chapter of its kind. Because in this chapter, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is not giving the answers. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is asking the questions. See, sometimes when you become a sannyasi, wherever you turn up, they just put a mic in front of you and they say, speak. And sometimes the sannyasis may come to a place and they may say, today I don't want to speak. Today I want to hear only from someone else. We are also students. We are also beggars. We also want to hear from someone else. So on this particular occasion, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to a very, very beautiful place known as the Godavari, to the Godavari River. And here Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu met Ramananda Rai. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had a very beautiful conversation with Ramananda Rai. And the whole conversation began by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asking one question. Be careful when you ask a devotee one question. The answer may go on for hours. Once Srila Prabhupada, he came onto a radio program. And you know what radio programs are like. The presenter's always trying to do something controversial, you know. So he had all these controversial questions he wanted to ask Prabhupada. So the reporter looked at Prabhupada. He said, why is your movement full of hippies? Prabhupada said, they are not hippies, they are happies. And then he said, I heard you came to the US on board a ship and the passage was for free. Prabhupada said, yes. He said, are you a freeloader? Prabhupada said, yes. These are it. We could write a book, Imperfect Questions, Perfect Answers. And then he looked at Prabhupada, he said, why is your temple in Haight Ashbury? Prabhupada said, because the rent is very cheap. And then Prabhupada, what he had organized is for one devotee to call. So this reporter wasn't getting anywhere. So he said, okay, let's open up the lines. Let's open up the lines. So they, okay, let's go to the first caller. So it was a devotee. So the devotee said, Swamiji, can you tell us what is the goal of life? And then it began, Om Namo Bhagavate. Prabhupada just gave a whole class. This guy was getting so restless for half an hour. He was like, come on, this has to be a bit more. He said, okay, let's go to another question. Let's go to another question. So then another devotee had called in. He said, Swamiji, what is the Hare Krishna mantra? Boom, another half an hour class. So like this, the devotees, it just takes one question and it's enough to trigger them. Because a devotee has so many things to say. Dharmasya tattvam nihitam guhayam mahajano yena gata sapantha. You want to understand what is dharma? You can read Shastra, very nice. But actually, dharmasya tattvam nihitam guhayam. the real truth, the real jewels of Dharma, they are hidden within the hearts of the devotees. And therefore, if one is very wise, Jaha Bhagavata Pada, Vaishnaver Stane, you go to the feet of a Vaishnav and you listen. Listen, not just with the ears, listen with the heart. When you come into the Bhagavatam class, you take a moment and just pray. Now, Krishna, tell me everything I need to hear. And Krishna will speak to you through the Vaishnavas. And so Mahaprabhu comes to Ramananda Rai. He asks a question, what is the ultimate goal of life? And some of you may or may not know. Some of you may think you've read all of Srila Prabhupada's books, but there may be one book that you're not aware of. Because in 1959, Srila Prabhupada wrote a book. And that manuscript was lost for many, many years. And later on they found that manuscript. Because Srila Prabhupada in 1959, while he was a lone mendicant in Radha Damodar Temple, Vrindavan, Srila Prabhupada wrote about this chapter of the Chaitanya Charitamrita, and he wrote a book called In Search of the Ultimate Goal of Life. Put your hand up if you've read that book. See? There you go. So you haven't read all of Srila Prabhupada's books. There's one book you can read it. It's not printed by the BBT. It's printed outside of ISKCON. But it's Srila Prabhupada's manuscript and you can download it as a PDF. So please read that book because that is the conversation that takes place here. So Mahaprabhu has come to the Godavari. Mahaprabhu is a sannyasi. And Ramananda Rai is a governor. And generally sannyasis, they don't interact with people who are involved and embroiled in the affairs of this world. Therefore, generally there's always a distance between the renunciates and those who are involved in affairs of the world. But on this occasion, Mahaprabhu just brings Ramananda Rai very, very close. Mahaprabhu had very long arms. Ajanulambita bhujo kanakavadato samkirtane kapitaro kamalaya Vishvambaro dvijavaro yugadharma palo vande jagat priyakaro karunavataro. Mahaprabhu had very, very long arms. When you go home, you can try it out. If you stand up straight and you let your arms fall, if they reach your knees, we'll bow down to you. That means Mahapurush. So Mahaprabhu, it said, Ajanu lambita bhujo. Sometimes people tell me, lambo. No, I am very small. Mahaprabhu had very long arms. And his long arms are not just physical, but they're symbolic. Because Mahaprabhu was embracing the whole world. When he embraced, everyone could be caught within that embrace because his arms were so long. And therefore Mahaprabhu just brought Ramananda Rai close. This is what the devotees do. They bring everyone close. There's no distinction. See, like Mahaprabhu is God. Ramananda Rai is a jiva. But Mahaprabhu just closes the gap and embraces him. Mahaprabhu is a sannyasi. Ramananda Rai is a grihasta. But Mahaprabhu just embraces him and closes the gap. Ramananda Rai is he's very much embroiled in the affairs of the world. Mahaprabhu is socially dead. There's a gap. But they just bring him together. So like this, there's no distinction. Mahaprabhu embraces him and brings him very, very close. And then Mahaprabhu asks him this question. And before Ramananda Rai begins to reply to Mahaprabhu's question. First, he glorifies Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And this is one of the verses in which Ramananda Rai glorifies Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So you can repeat after me. Mahanta svabhave etarite paman Nija karya nahi tabu janataragar Mahanta svabhave etarite paman Nija karya nahi tabu janataragar Mahanta svabhave tarite paman Nija karya nahi tabu janataragar Anyone like to repeat? Mahanta svabhave tarite paman
Nija karya nahi tabu janataraga
Nija karya nahi tabu janataraga
Mahanta svabhava etarite pamara
Mahanta svabhave tarite paman
Nija karya nahi tabu yanataraga
Nija karya nahi tabu janataraga. Any ladies? Mahanta svabhave tarite paman Nija karya nahi tabu janataraga Mahanta svabhave tarite paman Nija karya nahi tabu janataraga Mahanta Swabhav, nature of saintly persons. This, Tarite, to deliver. Pamal, fallen souls. Nija, own. Karya, business. Nahi, there is not. Tabu, still. Jana, goes. Dada, his. Ghara, house. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. It is the general practice of all saintly people to deliver the fallen. Therefore they go to people's houses, although they have no personal business there. A sannyasi is supposed to beg from door to door. He does not beg simply because he is hungry. His real purpose is to enlighten the occupant of every house by preaching Krishna consciousness. A sannyasi does not abandon his superior position and become a beggar just for the sake of begging. Similarly, a person in householder life may be very important, but he may also voluntarily take to the mendicant way of life. Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami were ministers, but they voluntarily accepted the mendicant's life in order to humbly preach Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's message. It is said about them, Tyaktva turnamashesha mandalapati shrenim sadat uchavad bhutva dina ganesha ko karunaya ko pinna kantha shrito. Although the Goswamis were very aristocratic, on the order of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they became mendicants just to deliver the fallen souls. One should also consider that those who engage in the missionary activities of the Krishna consciousness movement are under the guidance of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. They are not actually beggars. Their real business is to deliver the fallen souls. Therefore, they may go from door to door just to introduce a book about Krishna consciousness so that people can become enlightened by reading. Formerly, brahmacharis and sannyasis used to beg from door to door. At the present moment, especially in the Western countries, a person may be handed over to the police if he begs from door to door. In the Western countries, begging is considered criminal. Members of the Krishna consciousness movement have no business begging. Instead, they work very hard to introduce some literatures about Krishna consciousness so that people can read them and be benefited. But if one gives some contribution to a Krishna conscious man, he never refuses it. Well, one time someone gave a donation to Prabhupada, massive donation. So Prabhupada happily accepted it, and then Prabhupada gave him a set of Bhagavatams. So he happily accepted the Bhagavatams, and then Prabhupada looked at him and said, "And that will be $25? I just gave you a big donation." He said, "I just gave you a donation." Prabhupada said, "That was donation, this is book distribution." Never refuses. I was just in Calcutta actually, and I was just going to everywhere, Prabhupada, his birthplace, where he met Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Prabhupada said, "Nobody can defeat me, I'm a Calcutta boy. I know how to do business." The devotees become beggars, but they are not mundane beggars. They are not beggars simply trying to get something for themselves. But a devotee becomes a beggar. I don't know if you've ever felt like a beggar on the street sometimes. I don't know if you've ever felt like a beggar standing in town center collecting donations. I don't know if that's ever happened to you. I've been mistaken for a beggar many times. Once I was on Sankirtan, I remember this day, I was in High Wycombe. And you know what it's like, devotees are like perpetually tired, you know? Like devotees can sleep anywhere. Anyway, so I was having a difficult day on Sankirtan, so you know, I decided to take an extended Gayatri break. So I went inside the shopping center and I started doing my Gayatri. Anyway, somehow or other, I was so tired that I kind of, I had my, I was on my Gayatri thread, and anyway, I must have fell asleep on the bench. So you can imagine, there's a guy in the shopping center in like a huge coat, like 3 layers, like kind of just like sleeping on the bench. Anyway, I woke up after some time, and next to me was a Costa coffee and a loaf of bread. I was like, what's going on here, So I was trying to understand, like, what is this? I'm sure I didn't buy a Costa coffee. And then the police, those community police officers, supporters, they came up to me and they go, "Is everything all right, sir?" I realized, my God, these guys think I'm homeless. And then I realized, yes, a devotee is a beggar. But a devotee is not poor. A devotee is begging. But a devotee is not poor. When Prabhupada was in that park in New York, and Mr. Reuben, later on we found out his name, came to him, he said, "I looked at the Swami and he just looked like a beggar. Just someone, torn cloth. No support, all alone in New York City in the coldest winter." And Prabhupada sensed what Mr. Reuben was thinking. And what did Prabhupada say? He looked at Mr. Reuben and he said, "I am not a poor man. I am not a poor man. There are books, there are temples, there are thousands of devotees, and there's a worldwide movement. Only time is separating us from them." Because a devotee may be a beggar, may assume that role of being a beggar, but the devotee is the most wealthy person in the entire three worlds. Because Golokeda Premadhan Harinam Sankirtan. Because they have Premadhan. Premadhana Vinavyartha Daridra Jivan. You think you're rich, but if you have no prem, Daridra Jivan, you must be considered very poor. Then you're a beggar. So, the devotees sometimes are mistaken to be beggars. And they are beggars in one sense because they're going Prati ghare ghare giya Magiye ye bhiksha Bolo Krishna bhajo Krishna Koro Krishna shiksha. Prati ghare ghare giya, they're going to every single home. Belgrave Road. Remember when we were staying at Brahm Samaj for that period. We must have done every single door on Belgrave Road. Prati ghare ghare giya, magiye ye bhiksha, and we're asking for a donation. What is the donation? Bolo Krishna, chant Krishna's names, bhajo Krishna, serve Krishna, Guru Krishna shiksha, read about Krishna's instructions and try to follow it. So the devotees become beggars and they beg everyone, please take up Krishna consciousness. But did you know that even Krishna becomes a beggar? Yes, Krishna becomes a beggar. In his beautiful book, Embankment of Separation, His Holiness Gaur Govinda Maharaj tells the story of how Krishna, even Krishna became a beggar. Because one day, in the groves of Sri Vrindavan Dham, Srimati Radharani, Lalita and Vishaka had decorated everything so that Krishna could come and so that Krishna and Srimati Radharani could have their wonderful meeting and exchange, prema vilas, their pastimes of love. And so they decorated that grove in Vrindavan with flowers, with many, many beautiful decorations, with swings, with so many arrangements for the pleasure of the divine couple. And as they were waiting and waiting and waiting, and time was going and going and going, then Krishna never showed up. Krishna, where is he? Unreliable. He should have been here by now. We've made all these arrangements. Where is he? But Krishna didn't show up. Yugayitam nimeshena chakshusha praprashantam. When Krishna is not there, one moment feels like 12 years or more. Srimati Radharani was in deep separation. And so, Vishaka, who's a little fiery, she said, let's find out where that Krishna is. So she sent out one of her dutis, one of her messengers. And as the duti was going to try to find out, where has that Krishna gone? And that duti met Sabya. Sabya is the duti of Chandravali. So where is that Krishna? Oh, Krishna, I know where he is. Where is he? Krishna is in the grove of Chandravali. And the duti knew at that point, this is going to be fireworks. She went back, told Vishaka. Vishaka was angry, rage. Krishna? We did everything for Krishna. We made all these arrangements. And Krishna is a madman. He thinks that he can be happy with anyone apart from Srimati Radharani. Krishna has lost his mind this time for sure. So, Vishaka, what to do? She had to go and tell Srimati Radharani. Srimati Radharani, seeing Vishaka's anger and having a bit of her own anger, man, transcendental pride, she said, that Krishna, I gave that Krishna everything. I left everything for that Krishna and this is how he treats me. Block the door. Block the entrance. And if he ever turns up, tell him, I don't want to have anything to do with him. So sure enough, Lalita and Vishaka became the gods. And sure enough, after some time, Krishna appeared. Here I am, better late than never. What do you mean better late than never? Krishna, get out of here. Srimati Radharani doesn't want to see you. She doesn't want to have anything to do with you. Krishna said, no, she's lost her mind. They looked at Krishna, you've lost your mind. Because you could have been with her and instead you went somewhere else. Krishna said, no, go to her. Tell her, please, I'm begging. Vishaka came to Srimati Radharani. Srimati Radharani said, who's there? Krishna has come. Krishna has come? Yes, Krishna has come. Vishaka said, but I don't think we should let him in. Krishna is too unreliable. He'll cause you pain. He'll let you down. He won't show up again. He may come and then he'll disappear again, and then again you'll be in this situation. Srimati Radharani in her transcendental anger said, yes, you're right, block him. He will have to cry. He will have to beg. And then if he cries and begs, then maybe I'll think about it. So they went back to the door and they told Krishna, sorry, no can do. Not today. Today, you went too far. Krishna, this time it was too much. You go away and you pray and you beg and you cry and maybe you'll get a chance. So Krishna was crestfallen. I really blew it this time. And he walked away. And as Krishna walked away, he encountered Purnamasi. Purnamasi engineers everything in Vrindavan. And everything in Vrindavan revolves around Radha and Krishna. So when Radha and Krishna are together, everything is flourishing. See, it's said that Rupa Goswami in Terakadamba was writing about the pastimes of Vrindavan. And the tree would look over Rupa Goswami and write, and look, what is he writing in his book? And it's explained that in Rupa Goswami's books, when he would write about the separation of Radha and Krishna, then the tree would be looking over, and as soon as the tree would hear about the separation, all the leaves would fall, and the tree would just droop down, separation. And then when Rupa Goswami would write about the meeting of Radha and Krishna, then immediately, the tree would again blossom with all beauty, color and fragrance. And so, like this, Purnamasi was meditating. So Purnamasi said, we will make an arrangement. Vrinda Devi will help. And so Krishna began to walk, and sure enough, he encountered Vrinda Devi. And Vrinda Devi said, yes, this is all part of the plan. Radha and Krishna are together, sambhoga. But then there must be viraha. Because without separation, how can the love reach its pinnacle? But then when there is viraha, then there must again be sambhoga. So now my mission is to bring you together with Radha and Krishna. So Krishna looked at Vrinda Devi and said, can you do it? Said, yes, no problem, we can do it. But you have to cooperate with me. Yes, I will do anything to meet Srimati Radharani. No problem. So Vrinda Devi said, sit down. Krishna sat down. Vrinda Devi said, first thing you have to do, Krishna, take off all of these ornaments. Ornaments? These are my ornaments given by my mother. No. If you want to meet Srimati Radharani, all ornaments off. Okay? Put aside the ornaments. Then she looked at Krishna. Next thing, this Gopa Vesh and this Pitambar Dhoti is very yellow, very colorful, very opulent, very beautiful. Take it off. No, this is my identity. No, now you have to replace it for saffron. Saffron. Krishna. Brahmacharian. No, you have to follow. Then she looked at Krishna and she said, and this peacock feather on your head, take it off. No, my peacock feather. Krishna is having identity crisis. It's like midlife crisis. So Krishna is thinking, this is getting intense, And then she says, and now these soft, black, curly locks, this beautiful hair. Krishna's like shaking, like hair? What are you talking about, hair? Hair off. Shave your hair off. Many things happened which triggered my mother when I joined the temple. But when she saw me shave my head, oh Krishna, that was a big one. Vrinda Devi said, hair off, shave it. All the hair off. Krishna was thinking, I've given everything. Sarva dharman parityaja. Vrinda Devi said, no, there's more. The flute. My flute? This is my trademark? Murali Manohar, no more. Hand it over. Don't worry, I'll give you a tambourine. Tambourine! You can give up. We trade in your flute for a tambourine. Krishna is completely finished. His whole identity has been taken. Krishna is like, you've taken everything away from me. I hope I'm going to meet Srimati Radharani. She said, yes, but there's one more thing. What more? This Shama Sundar Kala has to go. But you've taken everything, my jewels, my ornaments, my peacock feather, my curly locks, my flute, you've taken everything. At least let me keep my skin color. She says, no. You have to be Sajatiya. And Srimati Radharani, Tapta Kanchana, Gaurangi, Shamne, Gaurangi. So Krishna transformed into a sannyasi. Krishna transformed into a beggar. And then she said, I'll teach you a song. And in that song, Krishna began singing as a beggar. Today, Krishna, his mind has been stolen by Srimati Radharani. And today that Krishna is walking around as a beggar of prema. And so she taught him this song. So now Krishna as a sannyasi was going village to village, as a beggar, as a mendicant, as a bhikshu. And he was singing this song. Today, Krishna's mind has been stolen by Srimati Radharani. And now Krishna is going village to village as a beggar, begging for prema. And finally, they came to the home where Srimati Radharani was staying. And there on the door, Lalita and Vishakha were guarding. And Lalita and Vishakha in the distance saw a beautiful, shining, effulgent, resplendent sannyasi. And immediately their mind was attracted by his effulgence. But then what attracted their mind even more was the song that he was singing in a very, very beautiful voice. And so as the sannyasi came to the door, then they said, "Who are you?" The sannyasi looked at them and said, "I am just a bhikshu. I am just a beggar. I have just come as a beggar of prema. I'm going door to door. I'm begging for the love of Krishna." They said, you look beautiful, you sing beautiful, and your mission is beautiful. So they said, you are so spiritual. Your potency is so captivating. I think you can do something to help. Our very dear friend, Srimati Radharani, she is in extreme distress and she has been separated from Krishna. And she is wondering when will her fortune come again. So Lalita and Vishaka looked at this sannyasi and they said, can you do astrology? Sannyasi, of course. I know everything. Vedaham samititani vartamani charjana bhavishyani cha bhutani tu vedana kaschana. I know everything. No worries. Yes, please come in. We want you to tell the fortune of our very dear Pranasaki. And so Krishna came in. Srimati Radharani was in the other room. And then Lalita and Vishaka said to the sannyasi, she won't immediately come out, but sing your song. Sing your song and she will be attracted. So the sannyasi began singing the song. Today Krishna's mind has been stolen by Srimati Radharani. And now that very same Krishna is going door to door, begging for prema. And as soon as Srimati Radharani heard the song, she came out of the room and she came into that place where the sannyasi was. As soon as Srimati Radharani heard it, she spontaneously began singing. Ashlishyava padaratam pinashtu mam adarshanan marmahatam karotu va yatha tatha va vidadhatu lampato matprananathastu saeva na paraha. Now I've realized it doesn't matter. Even if Krishna makes me broken-hearted, Krishna is always my worshipable Lord. Srimati Radharani came into the room. She sat down. It said that when Srimati Radharani came into the room, then the veil was over her face because she would not look at anyone except Krishna. So she sat down. Lalita and Vishaka had the sannyasi sit down. They were sitting opposite from each other. And then Vishaka took the hand of Srimati Radharani and then she brought it to the sannyasi. And she said, take it. Now read the hand. Read the fortune of Srimati Radharani. The sannyasi went, no, I am a sannyasi. I cannot touch the hand of a lady. No, this is Srimati Radharani. She is supremely pure. Nay, I am strict. I don't touch the hands of a lady. Then how will you tell her fortune? For me, very simple. All I need to see is the lines on her forehead. No. Our Saki, her face is covered by a veil. She doesn't remove that. Only if Krishna comes. She doesn't look at anyone else. The sannyasi said, I am a sannyasi. I am pure. I am only begging for prema. I don't want to exploit anyone's beauty. For me, you have nothing to fear. Tell her, lift her veil. And in that moment, they all got convinced. Srimati Radharani lifted her veil. And then Srimati Radharani's eyes met with Krishna's eyes. And then immediately, the golden turned to sham. The shaved head turned into locks. The peacock feather came back. The flute magically appeared. The pitambar dress re-manifested. And in this way, Krishna again was reunited with Srimati Radharani. But Krishna had to become a beggar. And this form of Krishna who becomes a beggar of love, this form is Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Prema Purushottama Sachinandana Gaura Hari. Ram is Maryada Purushottam. Krishna is Leela Purushottam. But Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna who comes as a beggar of love. And therefore, as followers of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we also have to become beggars. There's only one person in this world who gets Krishna, and that is the person who learns how to cry for Krishna. In our life, we've cried for so many things. Madhvacharya says if you add up all of the tears that we've shed for all the material things over lifetimes, it would be enough to fill oceans. In our life, we cried for so many things. She left me. India lost the World Cup. So many tears, so much frustration. Do you remember when you were a kid and you cried so much that you couldn't even breathe properly? Do you remember those times? How we cried for so many things. Now, we have to become a beggar of prema. We have to say, in this life, I'm done. Mahaprabhu is coming to freely give love. Anarpita charam chirat karunaya vartinar kalo samarpaitum unatva jala rasam svabhakti shriyam hari purata sundara dyuti kadamba sandipita sada hridaya kandare spuratu va sachinandana. That which was anarpita, that which was not given for a long time, samarpita, Mahaprabhu is giving it copiously. In his commentary on this verse, Jiva Goswami in Bhakti Sandarbha, he explains that Mahaprabhu is giving love for Krishna very, very freely. But why is it that everyone is not receiving it? And he says, because we are kapat. Kapat means crooked, duplicitous. It means that we show one thing, but inside we are thinking something very, very different. He says, crookedness manifests in three ways. Dhana kapat, balla kapat, and prema kapat. He says, if you overcome these three types of crookedness, then you can become a beggar of prema. And if you become a beggar of prema, then definitely Krishna will give you. And he says the first type of fake beggar is the dhana kapat, the one who has many, many material assets, but doesn't offer that to Krishna. One for Krishna, two for me. Two for Krishna, keeping some back for me. So dhana kapat means we have so much to give, we have so much to offer, and we say, yes, I will give something to Krishna, of course. But then we hold back many, many things. Then Jiva Goswami says you can't become a beggar, because a real beggar doesn't have a bank account. A real beggar doesn't have assets in the back as a backup. A real beggar doesn't have a fallback option. A real beggar has nothing in the reserves. This is it. Whatever you give me, that's all I can survive on. So Jiva Goswami says, dhana kapat, whatever you have, manasa deho geho, jo kichu mor, arpila tuve pade, nanda kishore. But then he says, even if you're not a dhana kapat, maybe you will become a bala kapat. A bala kapat means someone who is posing as a beggar, and they may even externally give everything. But what are they withholding? Bala, their strength, their desire, their effort. giving everything, but they don't give their own effort. They don't give their own time. They don't give their own energy. They're still holding some of that back for their own personal plans. And he says, therefore, you cannot cry for Krishna with sincerity. So first you have to clear out all the assets. And then you have to clear out all of your energy. Oh my God, I didn't know it's this intense. And then Jiva Goswami says, still it may not be enough, because you could still become a prema kapat. And a prema kapat is one who gives all of their resources. And you know what? They even give all of their time and energy. But what do they withhold? Their love. Isn't that amazing? It's actually possible to give everything to Krishna and still withhold your own heart. That is fascinating. Jiva Goswami says you have to give your heart, you have to give your love, because Priti Purvakam, that's what Krishna wants to see in the front. That's what Krishna is attracted by. So we give our love to so many other things in this world. We're still giving our love, our attraction to so many other things in this world. There's nothing attractive in this world anymore. In this way, if one becomes a beggar, then you can get Krishna. Krishna say tomar, Krishna dite paro, tomara shakti ache, amito kangal, Krishna Krishna boli, dhai tava pache pache. The Vaishnava is praying, I don't have Krishna. I'm lame, I'm ill-advised, I'm a beggar, I have no opportunity. I'm running behind the Vaishnavas, begging, give me Krishna, give me Krishna, give me Krishna. This is Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So, in this very beautiful verse, Ramananda Rai is saying, Mahaprabhu, everyone is looking at you thinking you're a beggar, but you only come to benefit us. And Srila Prabhupada is explaining a devotee is never a beggar, because a devotee is the wealthiest. But in a higher sense, a devotee is a beggar, because they're begging everyone, please take up Krishna consciousness, and they're begging Krishna, please give me some love. Because if I get that love, then everything else in my life will be absolutely perfect. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare. Thank you very much. It's 9 o'clock. Okay, it's 9 o'clock on the dot. Thank you for accepting the few words of this beggar. I don't know if we should take questions or any questions, comments. Yes.
What you were just saying, the last part about the 3 ways we fail at being a true beggar. How does someone like me do what you're asking when that's not?
Seems so far away.
Doesn't seem far away. It seems maybe a bit unrealistic for everyone in this room to do that.
Krishna is not seeing how much you give. Krishna is seeing how much you're holding back. This is very realistic. Whatever situation you may be in, sthane stita shruti gatam, you don't have to change it. But all you have to begin doing is connecting every bit of your life to Krishna. Tomorrow, not just tomorrow, today, you're going to eat. Offer it to Krishna. Tomorrow you're going to go to work. Connect your work to Krishna. Today you're going to go home and interact with your family members. Make Krishna the center of your home. Krishna is just seeing that you're doing your best. Krishna is seeing that you, with whatever life situation you find yourself in, that you are actually giving what you have. And if you do that, then you are as good as any sannyasi. Anashrita karma phalam karyam karma karoti ya sa sannyasi cha yogi cha na niragnir na cha kriya. Who is a sannyasi? A sannyasi is one who connects every bit of their life to Krishna. And that is very much possible. And so, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Srila Prabhupada doesn't ask us to do anything which is unrealistic. It's very realistic. You can live in the world, you can have a family, you can do all of the duties and fulfill everything. But you have to give your heart to Krishna. And you know what? You're going to give your heart to someone. Because everyone in this world wants to love, and everyone wants to be loved. So sometimes we think in Krishna consciousness we're asking people to do something which is very unrealistic. All we're saying is give your heart to Krishna. Because you know what? You're going to give your heart to someone anyway. And if you give your heart to the wrong person, last Christmas I gave you my heart. And you know what happened the very next day. You are going to give your heart to someone. You're going to give your heart to something. Give your heart to Krishna. Otherwise, definitely we will cry. Because we've experienced it already so many times. So it's very realistic. Mahaprabhu has come to make it realistic. And that is our great fortune. All right. Yes?
Thank you, Maharaj, for a very wonderful class.
When someone stands up to ask a question, I get scared. Very serious. No, gosh.
In context to your question to Raghunath Maharaj Tuesday, that we are so self-absorbed in ourselves. How do we see beyond ourselves and serve the Lord and His devotees? Maharaj, in a world, in a society that promotes self-love, self-care over everything, how do we, as devotees, how do we draw the thin line between service, selfless service, and self-love, self-care?
The goal of life is service. Without service, our life is empty. We have so many things to show the world, but it's empty. But when we fill our life with service, when we touch people's hearts, when we leave an indelible mark in other people's lives because we're carrying spiritual wealth to them, our life becomes meaningful. Think about how you want someone to remember you at your funeral. And you'll realize it's all about how you made them feel. It's all about how you contributed to their life. That's what makes life meaningful. So a devotee is defined by their service. At the manor, we had a wonderful devotee, Jivapati Prabhu, who served Sri Sri Radha Gokulananda for 40 years. Every single day he showed up for his service. And in the final days, he was at Watford General Hospital. And one devotee came to him one evening, and Jivapati Prabhu was crestfallen. And the devotee said, what happened? Jivapati Prabhu said, the doctor came and the doctor told me that there's a possibility next week that I can come out of hospital. Devotee said, that's amazing. Why are you looking so down? And Jivapati Prabhu looked at the devotee and he said, but the doctor told me if I come out of hospital, I'll never be able to do my service like how I was doing it before. And then he looked at the devotee and he said, and if I can't do my service, what is the purpose of living? And the very next day, Jivapati Prabhu left his body. And the devotee realized he lost the will to live. We live to give. The formula for a boring life is one which begins and ends in I, me, and mine. If you want to experience the magic, the mysticism, the moving moments of love, it all occurs in service. Yet, a devotee is wise. They know that if I take care of myself, if I inspire myself, if I invest in myself, then I can serve even more. And therefore, a devotee knows that self-care, self-love is not the goal of life. But self-care and self-love is important because it helps me to fulfill the goal of my life. And the goal of my life is to serve. Because when all is said and done, when our ashes are being scattered in the Ganga, hopefully, then at that moment, the only thing we will carry with us are those moments in service. And so, you do a survey and look for the most blissful devotees. And you'll see the one common thread between each one of them is that their life is defined by service. But they're wise and they know, let me take care of myself so that I can give more of myself. All right? Okay, I guess we should not go on too long because I think we'll end there. Thank you so much. Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki, Jai Shri Prabhupada ki, Gaura Premanande.